So I remember a conversation long back, when I was again was in my school days, and you asked me, "How are you?" Then I just said, "I don't know. There is nothing on my mind." And that is when you said that is how exactly you should be. Your mind should be. But I didn't understand anything at that point in time. But now, when I'm reflecting back and when I'm doing this exercise, it suddenly crossed my mind, and I was like, uh, that is what we should be ultimately. But uh, but then when I look into my mind, and now it's not as blank as it should be ideally. My theory of mind also, even after a lot of conceptualization and reconceptualization, the referent is still not a blank state.
Okay.
I have still not reached there. It started with something like visuals of a mind or a brain, with some you would have seen the structure of brain in some laboratories, where it will be colored with different dyes and all. That was the visual I always had about mind. But as I went through this conceptualization and reconceptualization, it was actually a wow moment for me, because I could literally experience how my referent is changing. Okay, and from the picture of a brain colored with some artificial dyes, I am seeing a whole body, a human body or an animal body, I would say. That is what I'm see my referent now. So that was the journey. It was a very wow experience. But yes, after the discussion on original mind and also the blank state of mind, that is when I realized, oh, I did not reach to that level of referent of mind yet. Okay, so that is where I am today.
Hmm.
And uh, yeah, what you're talking about are these, some of these um, linkages. Okay, this again is one practice that you taught us long back, linkage analysis. So I still, many of my work, my even in office or outside, linkage analysis is something which I follow very diligently. Um so that was the exercise I applied here also. So right from word meanings to the first level conceptualization to the next level of reconceptualization, uh, what all crossed my mind, what all I connected, what all memories uh, that got jointed, everything is more or less on this slide. But I wouldn't say it is complete. It was a different working paper altogether. Whatever I could put on the slide is there, but this is a gist of all those thoughts, the kind of ideas and thought processes and the memories that flashed and the interconnects that happened during the process. All these are in this slide. So
Okay. All right. So would you like to explain what is the theory part? Your ideas about a theory.
yeah, so theory, as you told, I went literally by what you said. At least have three definitions about one thing. So these are some of the definitions I got. Theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something. An idea used to account for a situation or justify a course of action. And then a set of principles on which the practice of an activity is based. Again,
Okay. 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 Wait.
that
Wait.
led to what principle is, and then
Okay. All right. Okay, by the way, I have a question. Why do we need a theory? Why human beings are after theories?
Theories are something that will give you a base to connect to certain new things, or you know create something new. uh, so theory, as you said in the earlier part of today's discussion, Ashwati said ripple create another, Ashwati or Anu, create ripples. Ripples create another ripple. So my referent immediately to that was memories, to which our new experiences get connected and new thoughts come. So that is a new, that is an original state of mind. But when you start working on it, as you said today also, it becomes a creative work. So theory is something that was created originally by somebody, and on top of that, it becomes a base for anybody who is interested on it to work further on it, creative
Okay.
work or whatever.
All
So
right.
it becomes
Beautiful.
a
Yeah.
base.
All right. Beautiful. So, as a management student, you are exposed to so many theories of leadership. You have correctly explained the relevance for theory. So, in which way a theory is applicable to day existence, for example? What do you think any of the theories can be there for day existence?
Yeah, I think every system is one way or other based on some theory that gives a common ground for people.
For
Um,
example,
for example, theory that Earth revolves around Sun. Uh,
okay,
and then basis that we are defining our sense of time. The entire world believes on that theory, and basis that everybody has agreed, I mean most of them would have agreed on that uh, time sense. um, and the world is running on that. The majority of the world is running on that.
yeah, that's a very scientific example. Then the governments, the various departments of governments, organizations, institutions, family, even family, marriage, all
Yes.
these are based on theories. Yeah, all right.
Right.
And every religion has a theory of God, a theory of its origin, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you create a theory on something?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I have created.
Uh-huh. All right. So, when you talk to an audience, it is uh, good that if you already create a theory in your mind,
Yes, I think
because
may not have all of us would have created some kind of theories that with our different experiences, I'm sure. And I definitely have certain theories about uh, my way of work or way of life. Certain theories gets created, isn't it?
yeah. But can you explicitly identify and write down the principle of the theory?
Yeah, I have never attempted that, but
All right.
yes, if
That
you
also
sit
has a
down.
concept. That's what precisely you have done now.
Yes, true.
It is after all, it is only primarily it is an exercise. That's what I told in the beginning also. So, secondly, you are doing that exercise on something very significant, like mind. So on one side, you will develop a good experience of reflecting upon and conceptualizing and reconceptualizing, and on the other side, because the topic is of mind, unconsciously the ripples will be formed in your mind about the mind. Okay,
Sir, can I ask a question
two.
to you, sir?
All right.
Sir, are theories or is a theory create or is it against a free mind or is it against a creative mind?
Why do you
Or
use the word against?
not against, sir. Can it act as a block to have a free mind?
That depends on what kind of theory. Yeah. As Parvathy pointed out, people have theories, unspecified theories, unconscious theories, duplicated elements of theories. For example, if I go to a house where something sad has happened, I also must pretend to be sad. Yeah? Otherwise, what other people will think. So that theory is operating. If I don't behave like other people, I may be labeled an outsider. That's a piece of a theory. There's a principle behind it. And it is the theory of mind which is unknowingly operating in everybody. So I was born in a poor family, therefore I have to be like this. As I told the other day, the prince has an unconscious theory about him. I am the future emperor. I am from such and such a family. I am from such and such a background. They are all basically some theories because there is no logic, there is no fundamental truth in that. They are all theories. There is a theory in psychology again, Vinay. Perhaps you might have heard during your MBA program, which is called attribution theory.
Hmm.
Attribution theory says that every human being has a theory on the basis which they attribute causality. Perhaps Meenakshi must have been taking this in her sessions. Am I right? Attribution theory, Meenakshi?
Do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
accordingly, everybody is kind of a theory maker. So two people are, let us say in a Malayali context, a man and a woman is talking, standing in a corner. Yeah, they are likely to talk sex or something like that. It's all based on theories only. So I must be behaving like other people. Everybody is spending such a lot of money on their marriage and all that according to the social status. So I may also have to do it. Again, a theory. Basically, theories, everybody has theory about causality. It happened to me because of this. Or God is controlling everything. That's the theory, of course. They have learned it from other sources of religion or whatever it is, and they imbibe that theory and believe by that theory. Sorry to say, the Muslims believe that Allah is the God and Allah is the only one God. That's the theory. My life should be dedicated to religious rituals and other things. I mean, for example, Islams live as if they are made in this world only to live by the religion. So there's a theory behind that. Christianity has created a theory about the birth of Jesus because they wanted to position Jesus as a supernatural being. So they said that Jesus was God, born to God or something like that. I don't know.
Immaculate conception.
Or God or
It's
some
ridiculous.
divine, yeah, some divine force had a sexual intercourse with Maryam.
Ridiculous.
Virgin Mary.
But he could be easily mismanaged, he could be easily cheated, he could be easily sidelined, and he could be easily nailed onto a cross like any other thief. What immaculate? So they need to create that theory because they want to position Jesus as the savior of the world. So there are a great lot of theories going on in the minds of people. So that's why it is better to reflect on what the slides of Parvati, the theory part, which I would have talked anyway because I told you
It's
to
22 hours.
create a theory on the mind, which will help you deal with other people, help you understand more about the phenomenon called mind in the process of your reflecting upon creating your own theory. That's why I said you create your own theory. Like there are so many theories about leadership, there are so many theories in psychology. like the theory by Sigmund Freud to begin with, then Carl Jung, Alfred Adler, perhaps others might be able to talk a lot about that. So many theories. There is an entire book, some 500-page book on theories on psychology. Because the flexibility of that phenomenon of human behavior allows a lot of people to create theories on human behavior. And if you talk to people, everybody has a theory about life. You talk to people with the laborer, the taxi driver, the auto guy, everybody will talk a theory about
Yes.
life. Yeah. Yesterday, that guy from here, he was telling me a theory about life. He was telling me a theory about the benefits of enjoying nature process to me. So we have to identify what theories are guiding us. And you asked a very important question. Certain theories only establish the mindsets, the mental traps. Most of those theories are, that's why I asked you, against, I don't know, again, your originality added that word against, I suppose. In fact, most of the theories held by most of the people are against their own evolution. As I told some time back, there is a running theory that if you have to be enlightened or if you are an enlightened person, you will look like somebody different. You will have a kashaya vastram. You will have a certain appearance. You will have this, that. You will have a lot of followers. If not, you are not enlightened. Finished. Or if you become detached, detachment meaning you have to be out of the world. They don't know about hundreds of greats and masters. In fact, in Japan had the maximum number of mystic individuals, but they never bothered even to talk about that. And again, for your information, Zen had a lot of enlightened females, unlike any other tradition in the world. But none of them talked even to their husbands. It is told that their husbands did not know that they were enlightened spirits. So there are theories. If you are a rich person, you should have this kind of a house. That's also a theory. Nothing wrong about that. What I'm telling, the presence of theories. So how can I be a wonderful person? I am only this. That also is a theory. A lot of people say, I am only this. A lot of people conclude that I don't have confidence, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have that. So it's a theoretical output out of observations or experience in their life, like a researcher. Everybody is in that sense a kind of a researcher. That is the principle behind attribution theory. They say everybody is a kind of psychologist. You go and tell your problem to anybody, even a rickshaw guy will advise you. I always pretend like a nobody before anybody here, anybody coming here. For example, if an electrician comes here, I will pretend like I do not know anything, and I would ask him a question. No, I see this is positive. Then no, then he goes on talking about all the things to me. So theory making. That's why I appreciated Parvathy's presentation. I think Veena also is talking in a different level. She begins with the referent and things like that. So Parvathy started thinking on theory, the concept of theory itself. This is something which I would have come at the end. Sometimes I don't know. Because I asked you to write a theory of mind. By referent reality perspective, every one of you must have started with the theory. You all went on to the referent of mind. You could have started working on the theory also. Because you are asked to make a theory on mind. So there are two concepts, theory and mind. Sometime back you used to do that in your presentations. But when it came to a topic, theory of mind, you got impressed by the mind aspect and you forgot about the theory aspect. Theory is very critical. All interpersonal perception is based on theory only, Vinay. For example, just a silly example, you come home and sorry, not a direct example with Vinay. Husband comes home and the wife is sitting with a broody expression. Husband is asking why, no sound. Why are you sitting like this? No, no, no. You don't love me. What are you talking? You don't love me. Why? What is today? What is today? Oh, you don't even remember that? You have no love for me. Today is my birthday. Oh my God. I forgot that. You don't love me. That's a theory. Because you forgot today is my birthday, theory says you don't love me. Or theory says if you love me, you will remember all these things. That's also theory. Theories are not only theories in physics and chemistry and psychology and management and philosophy. Theory, like Parvathy pointed out, some concepts are there. Her first meaning is very significant. What is that? In order to account for something, event or something like that, right? Parvathy? Theory is something to, what is that? An idea used to account for a situation. Beautiful. All right. Or a course of action. Yeah, exactly. Then the husband says, oh my God, I will go and right now buy a gift. Now she puts another theory. I don't want that gift because you are giving me because I told you. There's a theory. If you really love me, even without my telling, you would bring it. Point number one, principle number one. Principle number two, there is no meaning in a gift if I ask for it. I know a close friend of mine in Bangalore, not a friend alone, a distant relative also. He was the four-time race driver, car race driver, a relative of Narayan Karthikeyan. Perfect love marriage. And they were almost on the brim of divorce. But somehow they managed. But the triggering incident was just one, she delivered a child, of course, a 1-year-old child or somebody like that. On one Saturday, the wife said, you go and buy masala dosa and come. He said, it is a morning, I have to again go to the market and I will make something here. No, 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 I want masala dosa today. He said, last 2 weeks we had masala dosa. Yesterday evening we had masala dosa. Okay? No. And I have to go in the morning. I worked yesterday night. He was working for Accenture. I worked till 3 o'clock in the office. And, no, no, no. If you love me, go right away and bring masala dosa. This was told to me by Vikram. Vikram meaning the man. In the presence of his wife only. And he is wondering, and he is a bold person. I told you he was a four-time car racer, four-time winner, national car racer. So he was a little bit tough guy. So that was the triggering event. But why that lady made that statement? This is what I asked her also. Why did you immediately make such a statement that if you love me, you go and bring masala dosa? Why did you put in? I had a tough debate with her and she did not like me also. And Veena might know. Almost what is every mental illness, Vinay, in a way? That's a result of some kind of an internal theory running. Veena is trying to break the thread of that theory and connect it with another theory of the possible potential of creativity to get liberated out of that. So it is so much. It is by the theory, some theory in the minds of the parents that if they if they give a lot of money and all the gold and all that thing, the husband will love her. Recently, I don't know whether all of you know, a very heinous crime. A beautiful girl married to a motor vehicle inspector. 100 sovereigns, 1.5 acre of land, and a brand new car worth 10 lakh or whatever it is. So they thought that if he's a government officer, her life will be safe. That was their theory. What a funny theory, I don't know. And when we discuss these mindsets that are blocking, they are all because of theories, internal theories. That's a wonder of the human intellect anyway. But that wonder is working against them. Why so-called illiterate poor people in the village have no mental problems? They are all very simple people. They don't do much theories. Very simple, silly people. So they are free. Whereas educated people, they create a lot of theories and they themselves suffer out of that theory. They feel depression, whatever, all those things. So as soon as you interact with a person, you understand what kind of a theory. Theory, that's a word also. What kind of a theory is running in his background? The guy who came here yesterday, he was trying to get some kind of control over me. That I gradually realized. He wanted to make me do something according to his instruction so that he can have better freedom with me. There is a theory which is supporting a very criminal. There is a theory behind every unethical person. I do this duplicate business. I do this manipulation of customers, and I go to the temple and donate. Compensated. And Christian religion is providing another theory to escape from guilt feeling. You do a so-called sin, especially whatever, go and confess, you are freed. You are liberated forever, finished.
In the olden days, you had to confess publicly, sir. It was made conveniently private.
Oh, I see. Oh my God. There is a theory, that is the first established theory about the God. That was a clever device to control populations. If you read the history of religion, there are clear scientific analysis of religion. It was originally created with the support of the rulers, the kings. The proposal of a god was used to establish the power of the king. So praise the king, and from that it came praise the Lord. Why should you praise the Lord? The super energy. Why does he need the praise of the ordinary human beings? Theories. A certain section of Christianity says fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. One sentence theory. Utter bloody bullshit nonsense. They should have said at least love for God is the beginning of wisdom. They only say God is love. But why did they do that? Because
It's
fear
22:15.
is easy to understand. You can fear an unknown thing, but you cannot love an unknown thing. You see, the clever strategy. They know. The great Christian philosophers are also great. They know love of God is the beginning of wisdom. But people can love only something that is sensible, something perceivable. That is again a theory. But fear is such a wonderful phenomenon that you can be afraid, mortally afraid of something which you do not know anything. But even then, I don't understand how fear can be a tool for generating wisdom. In fact, if you look at the definition of wisdom, wisdom, ultimate of wisdom is conquering fear. See the paradox? So you can see such anomalies even in great literatures if you understand the constant sense, a referent description, a referent analysis, referent reality perception, referent reality analysis, and above all, interpretation. That is for you. There is some remaining part of the slides of Parvathy. What did that quickly show that? So the significant aspect of theory, everybody is a theory maker. That's why you have to be very careful in debating with other people. That's why you have to be very careful in entering debate with somebody. Because what he speaks is based on a theory. Get to that theory and break that theory. Don't break what he talks outside. Debates and discussions and interpersonal conflicts, they are fighting on the words uttered. Listen carefully and find out by what theory he or she or they are going on talking. Because what is a theory? It's basically a single idea, a single principle, a single engine. Like fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. From that, everything, a great lot of things are worked out in the religion or worshipping God. So much of rituals, going to the temples, doing pujas, doing this, so many prayers, so many literature, all based on a single principle. God has created you all. That's all. So when you listen to somebody who is going on talking something, that's what Veena does. Break the theory, don't break the logic. In order to understand the theory, go on listening what you call the explanations based on that theory. See the referent, see the essence, see the concepts, see the examples, or see the other sentences and words the other person uses. Then you will get a glimpse of the theory. Then talk to that theory. Then you can change the person. And also, at the same time, understand, reflect upon, meditate, and see what all theories are guiding you. Create a marvelous theory. That's what I told you some time back. Every one of you is nothing but 100% an intimate, integral part of the very world. A single sentence. Let your expressions, your responses, your behaviors, your ways of working, your ways of relationship, your ways of language be guided by that fundamental theory. Is that clear? All right, clear. This slide is clear, Parvathy. You are clear also, right?
Yes.
There was a slide, it is missing now. Where is it gone? Yeah. Whatever is in this slide, you are clear, right, Parvathy?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, then go to the next one. That was also shown. Go to the last one. Okay. Theory of mind according to my mind. If you have any problem, you can postpone this.
No, that's what I had taken through this slide also.
Oh, okay. That's the way you started your
Ref,
introduction.
yeah, referent, initial referent to what it is today.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, now you are talking about the final one. New referent of mind, visualize a human body. Perfect. In fact, yesterday Ashwati made a very important point to which I did not focus much. She asked a question that entire body is the mind, something like that. Right, Ashwati? Remember? Yeah. Yeah. That comes to a very classic debate also. If you look into the history of philosophy in the world, a great lot of philosophers, especially Greek philosophers, wasted a lot of time on a topic called the mind-body problem. Perhaps Meenakshi might know that. The mind-body problem. It is called the mind-body problem. All lot of philosophers made a lot of discussions on that. It all began with the Plato's statement that a sound body, so a sound mind is in the sound body or something like that. From that, a whole lot of debate started. What is the connection between body and mind? Entire body is our mind. As I also mentioned the other day. People try to locate mind somewhere. Okay, it is processed in the brain, no doubt. Not only mind, the digestion process, the hormonal process, the muscular process, all the processes are coordinated in the brain only. It is not that brain is exclusively in charge of something called mind. No, mind is spread across every cell of the body. That's why the other day, like Ramesh also pointed out, the goose flesh. You come across a marvelous sight, ripples go down the entire body, and every hair of the body stands up. Okay. Or another simple example. Somebody is okay, takes about 2-3 packs of intoxicant liquor, then he starts talking all kinds of things. Why? A lot of people get, according to them, some courage and confidence if they take liquor. Why? It is a chemical. It goes on and works in the dopamine levels of the brain. So the entire body is energized. That is why the so-called yoga positions. What is yoga position? A lot of people do not understand this. They are trained, but it's very difficult for normal people to understand that the body is the mind. Very difficult. If you explain that, then yoga positions will work out better. Now they are simply sitting, nothing happens. Of course, every yoga has its philosophical implications. Every mudra of the hand, etc., has its meaning, but people don't understand that. They are all just blindly duplicating the way of sitting. That's why millions of people are doing yoga. Nothing basically happens to them because they do not know what they are doing. Unless our attention goes into the details and capture the essence of it, it will not be translated into our being. They are all doing, but that doing is not translated into the state of being. That's why you need to do even so-called yoga under a so-called master. He might explain it to you. Why you should be sitting in so-called Padmasana. Why Padmasana is called Padma itself? Padmasana itself. So I really wonder how come Parvati so quickly coming into mind as the body. What made her arrive at that conception? So can you say a few words about that? How could you arrive at that seemingly distant, sudden jump into a conclusion that mind is the body?
I really don't know. That's what I said. It was actually a wow moment for me.
Oh,
I
okay, okay,
it just
clear.
happened.
When you said wow moment, you have said that's so. But anyway, yesterday you were not present. We had arrived at this point by a systematic interpretation of something also. But systematic interpretation and arriving at that and getting this wow is totally different. But Ashwati, do you remember why you asked that question? You also said not exactly like this. You asked the question. What is that? Is mind
Yes,
in
sir.
every cell of the body or something like that?
Yes, sir.
You asked the question whether mind is in every cell of the body. That
Yes.
came because you talked about sensing.
Yes, sir. I also said I can feel the mind in my head region, but in the other parts of the body, I don't know. And because I related it to sensing also, yes.
Yeah, from that sensing only we came to the total body. Because then I said, you sense a sound in the ear. But what about sensing just a touch by a feather on the back of your foot? A feather tip is touching the back of your foot, you will sense it. That's all very easily explained in a mechanical way by the Western anatomy. There also the brain is available. Brain is not that thing inside the skull alone. Brain has its tentacles reaching every point of the cell through the large assemblage and distribution of nerve fibers. That itself is enough to prove that the mind is spread across the entire assemblage of the cells of the body. So treat your body, because body is a work of art of the universe process. Appreciate that art and appreciate its philosophy and appreciate its mission. Why this body is here. You may look at unconsciously, you may have a perception about entire humanity, thousands and millions of people. They are all living very normally, they are doing all kinds of things and all that. So seemingly there is no purpose, especially for the purpose of existence is said to be only with some Aristotle or Plato or Mahatma Gandhi or Tagore or somebody like that. Yeah, in a way it is true. So they make remarkable existences, well known. There may be many other unknown remarkable existences, like I told you about the Zen masters. And you should not be affected by the theory, like when you said, to defeat your own possession of a highly evolved state of being by putting in a theory that if you are very evolved, the people will come to know about this. Let me say, nobody may know also. A rose is a rose is a rose because a rose is a rose. So do not wait for anybody else's recognition and appreciation. If it happens, okay, thank you. That's all. Because Mount Everest cannot be accessed by
It's
everybody. It's so simple as that.
22:30.
So when you reach where it is the Everest of the physical, or if it is the Everest of the non-physical or metaphysical, the story is the same. Do you think all those people who are flocking in the ashrams or to all those people. They understood all those people. No, they're all very well known. People say they are very well known. That's why they go there. They don't know anything about it. That's- Who identified Satyasai Baba? Poor local villages. Their original natural sensitivity only identified his wonder. So they gathered around and stories were out, and then the entire population came, and the so called rich and influential power mongering people took him out, and the poor people are out. That's a different story. Who identified Sudhamani? I mean, Amardandamai? Local people only. Who identified Jesus? Some 10, 15 fishermen only. Who identified Ramana Maharshi? Some local shepherds only. So that's an internal theory unconsciously operating inside you. It's very likely because when you go to a higher degree, everybody appreciated you. They know about your values, your difference, your quality, etc., etc. So therefore, there could be a tendency to make people aware that you are someone wonderful. Get out of that theory. But that is for your personal agreement. But I am sure people will know you and take that role when it is required, if it is coming on your way. Don't deny that role. Because you have now the real strategy. You have the proper referent reality perception based language to make people see at least what they want to see. All right. Anything else today? So remember the critical points of interpretation. The critical point that most of the human behaviors are guided by some theories which they themselves may not know. If you want to change somebody, you have to work on the theory that is guiding the expressions and responses and behaviors and actions of those people. Try to understand the principle, the driving theory of a certain people and their behavior towards you or to their behavior towards other people. The theory is just a word, as I said. It is a certain idea, a certain vague idea, a certain vague principle. These are all the language which we use to capture that mental process, that's all. So get rid of all the broken theories and install a new theory about your existence. Always achieve that flexibility of your process. Be eternally flexible, but strategically. Of course, be strategic. And in general, out of all this interaction in the sessions, you have to work out a theory for your own evolution also, for which you have to discover the basic principles of your understanding. So now you have theory of the mind, now you have some theory about the body, which we discussed. Some theories about intellect will come. Of course, we will focus very strongly on the theory of mental traps, in the sense that you have to start any interaction, any significant interaction with the public, I mean an audience, if possible, by reference to mental traps. Because unless and until the mental traps are resolved, no idea will work. Like Aniratha pointed out, the ripples are stopped. Mental traps. The mind becomes rigid, the sixth block. The mind becomes afraid of the unknown and the ambiguous and the strange and the unexpected. It is based on a theory, some unconscious theory trained in the childhood. The second mental trap of centricity and conformity, I have to be abiding by the majority opinion or the powerful people's opinion, etc., etc. The theory of failure, if I am failed, I am a useless person. A most working theory. Nobody is ready to be a failure. Even a beggar is not ready to be a failure. When the gods have failed, when their own gods have failed, either on the cross or by the shot of a hunter in the forest, they don't want to be failures. Failure does not mean failure in action. If I don't have that much of a bank balance, I am a failure. If I don't have this model of a car, I am a failure. What happened to that motor vehicle inspector? He has given a 12 lakh rupee worth brand new car, but he wanted an Innova car. That led to the murder of that girl. So many, 2, 3, 4, 5 incidents in Kerala. So all based on some stupid theory about social status and social possession. See, do you think they are fundamentally criminals? No, they are all victims. Their certain stupid theories work against their integrity. He is a brilliant student, this Kiran Kumar. He studied in NIT.
So, sir, is it possible not to theorize?
But whether you theorize it consciously or not, some theory will inevitably coincide in your intellect process, because nevertheless it's an intelligent machine. A lot of process, Ganesh. So, but you can definitely detach from it by not being doing. There can be great positive theories. What is a theory? A set of principles or a set of idea that will guide your expression, your response, your of a greater quality on one side, poor quality on the other side. So theory is not that consciously made, of course not. And that conscious theory is the theories in established academic subject matters, of course. The theories in physics and chemistry and maths and management and literature and all those things. There are even theories about poems. I had a dispute. My discussion with Mandra Rishiga on the YouTube has been criticized severely, to such an extent that I had to close the comment section. Because there was a question in her textbook. The poet follows what principle in writing a certain line? I told her, poet is not looking for a principle. Okay, let me apply this principle and then write my. No, it comes to him. It is the observers who find the principle in that. And the observers have a certain sense also there, Ganesh. But it is not consciously made. It automatically happens there, and an observer can find a certain principle in that. Observer can locate a certain idea running across that, a so-called common factor, like, Like the theory, if you want to test potatoes in a bag, you take one potato, then you assume that the entire potatoes are okay. So that unconscious theory making, okay, we name it as a theory, but nevertheless it is possible. Because if an idea is guiding your response or a behavior or a series of activity, that principle has to be maintained in order to sustain that activity, Ganesh. It is like you
Yeah,
keep
so it is
it is like
unavoidable, that means.
yeah, it is almost like you keep a topic in your mind and you go on talking for 3 hours. That is a Satyamev Jayate is a principle, and you can talk for 3 hours. Similarly, you have a principle about how you should be as a leader manager.
Yeah, but is it then not necessary for us to validate the correctness of that?
That depends upon the kind of theory. In a way, your question is in a slightly different direction. Actually, if you look at interpersonal dialogues, interpersonal conversations, everyone, in at least in a given situation, every participant in that conversation unit of 4 or 5 people, they are all trying to arrive at a theory to explain the phenomenon. Why the government is like this? Now, entire media people and people in Kerala is discussing about why this happened. A lot of YouTube items are there about the dowry system, about all. They're all trying to arrive at a theory to explain this. Because that so-called theory or principle helps human beings to explain a phenomenon and to feel it's a kind of a curiosity. You don't have to explain it. Murder happened is a murder happened. But if you understand the theory, principles behind it, perhaps you can guide the society, like somebody is doing. Get out of the dowry system. So, theory forming is a highly brilliant intellectual activity. Okay, it may happen in a criminal, it may happen in a beggar, it may happen in a illiterate person, it may happen in a genius also. A genius is not entirely different from the ordinary person. Only thing is that his work, his expressions, his self-image, his conception of the world is of a very higher order theory. Let's say so.
Yeah.
But a theory and sometimes a report of a fact may look more or less the same also. So there is possibly a central force which is working behind the phenomenon in the world. Like seeds are flying away and falls on the ground, they're sprouting and blooming, and again it is continuing. And the cats and the birds and all these things are surveying. So there is a central principle in the universe that becomes possibly a statement of a fact as well as that as a theory also. So theory, if like academic theories, they are a little bit rigidly conceptualized. For example, a leadership theory, transformation leadership. It has become a theory. Anyway, that's known as a theory. In fact, a leader is capable of transforming the perception of people. You call him a transformation leader. And there are a lot of books. There are books on transformation leadership. So, why the theory is formed? The person who created that so-called theory, he might have observed some leaders, and he has conceptualized in a certain way so that the theory can be given to some people so that they will translate it into doing. That is all. You don't need to do that theory also. Instead of using the concept of theory and the transformation leadership, you can tell people, tell a group of leaders that you have to try to get a transformation of people's mindset and their attitudes and values about whatever. But then there is a tendency maybe to differentiate my perspectives.
It's
So that so he identifies a certain principle in that different from some other principle. So he calls it what you call transformation leadership, and there's a theory on transformation leadership. Then there is servant leadership. Then there is resultorian. There are more than some 46, 50 theories on leadership. So I have created a theory called genius leadership. So that is to convey quickly a precise body of sort of knowing, so that other people can quickly expand it and reinterpret it and incorporate it in their actions. So whatever works like that, you can name as a theory also. That's all. What is a theory? That's the referent of theory. The concept sense of theory, like Parvathy pointed out, just a set of ideas or principles or something like that. It ends up as a principle. Again, another word we use to qualify that. That's all.
Master, I have a question. And the question is about the intention of the exercise which you gave us, where we were asked to write an original theory of our mind. So our theory of our mind.
Yeah.
So I wrote my theory of my mind based on how I think of the principles that guide me.
Okay.
And the way I see my mind operating and how it supports me. So now after this conversation, I'm thinking your purpose in making me write my theory of my mind is also for me to look at it from a detached perspective and make corrections in that theory of my mind so that I grow as a person.
Of course,
Is
of
that
course,
correct?
of course, of course. Not necessarily corrections. I don't think you will write a wrong idea, because you are reporting something that you directly experienced. So there won't be anything
Yes.
to correct. There will be a lot of things to add on. That's all.
Okay.
Explain it. That's all.
Yeah, why I use the word correct was taking from what Vinay asked.
Just a minute. And then okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, proceed. I was telling Mandra to make dosa. All right. Come on. Okay.
Yeah. So why I used the word correct was taking from the very pertinent question Vinay asked, that can a theory be limiting? So in that sense, I felt when I explain my theory, probably it also reveals my limitations, and those can be corrected so that I'm able to.
I don't think so. If there are something like that, that you may have to revise it. That's all. It is not correcting. This also, see the word I used. Correcting involves revising. So revising is a better word than correcting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So do not tell people to correct themselves, because that is intimidating.
Yeah.
Because from very early childhood, the parent, even the very beloved parents, have proved that the child is wrong. That is where they made a mistake. You have to.
But that assignment was.
Yeah. So the teachers say it is wrong.
Yes. That's the word they use.
Yeah.
And that
So
too to a young mind.
forget about that. Should not be in your dictionary, in your language of communication to people.
Understood.
Okay, say something different, say something else, do something else, come on, show that, etc., etc. All right, you know. I don't think there'll be anything even to revise, Minashi. There'll be a lot to interpret and explain and to add on to that. There may be missing elements, that's all. That's quite possible, because you experiencing it, you can directly say. That's what I asked Parvathy. How did you come to the sudden conclusion that the mind is the body? Then she said, even before that, she made that in the process I had a moment of woe.
It was a very interesting exercise.
Yeah, but definitely, it was not interesting exercise. It is evolutionary exercise, because you are doing it on your mind. Yeah.
Yes, and I've made several corrections. Every time I go and revise it a bit.
But what Vinay said is fundamentally important for the other people. Because a great lot of people, why there is depression? Depression is the greatest virus infection today in the world. More than 90% of the people are suffering from depression. It is based on some unconscious theories. My life is lost. My future is lost. Everything is lost. The meaning about life is lost. How can they say so? Recently, there's a DW documentary. DW is something. It's a German official TV channel. They do wonderful documentaries. They have done interviews with a lot of students. They are all feeling terrible. Dangerous situation. It is only about to be 2 years. They are almost entering on neurotic phase. It's actually due to an unconscious theory operating also. What is all the so-called divorce, interpersonal conflict? You analyze. Every interpersonal conflict is definitely driven by so-called what Vinay said, blocking theories only. As a researcher, I have two experiences. The first girl who came with me, I told her I am a different individual. I will be living under the trees. She me and said, I am ready to live with you in a hut anywhere on the roadside. But how gradually she developed more and more theories. So by a certain theory, someone falls in love, and by certain other theory, someone gets out of love. You know. But like Ganesh Raman said, there is a state beyond theories. Like when the feudal chief and his team come appear before the master and says, "This is your child, illegitimate child. We never expected something like this from a reverend master like you." Okay, oh yes, give that child to me. There was no theory. It was just accepting the ongoing reality. Because what is Zen? Zen mind, we say. It's a mind of no mind. There are no theories. So any theory is also a mindset, okay? Because it is beyond. There are all possible because the Zen master is absolute intellectual giant. They can create theories about anything in the world. But he goes beyond every theory. His own theories. Oh, is she my child? All right, give it to me. And he takes care of that child because it's a little baby. It needs care and compassion. So he gives it fully. After 8 months, they come and say, sorry, we give the child back. Oh, take it. He did not accept the child because of the Zen mind. I have a Zen mind, therefore I should accept and all that. No. This is what Ganesh also implied, I suppose. So you can, that's a very high state. But a normal state, because when you are a spontaneous creature in the world, what theory, what, you are just free, absolutely flowing. It will like a water course. It will flow through any nook and corner. If there is a rock, okay, I will go this way.
Because living by a theory sounded like not being fluid. It sounded contrary to it.
But that is because you consider certain theories, that's it.
Mm.
It is not consciously going by a theory, but let us say, in fact, generally we can say every Muslim is living by a theory, rigidly following a theory. If you are a female, you must wear the parda. If you are a Muslim, you must go and do that. That's a pure theory guiding them. We look at theory just as a concept because I had to use the word theory of mind. That means you have to arrive at some principles of the mind. If I said the principles of the mind, I think they will be much more blocked.
Mm.
I think they may not get any idea at all. Because the word principle is a little complex, a little vague, a little ambiguous, a little sharper. So theory of mind. So it is easily accessible. Though it is a complex word, everyone understands. Especially educated people, you are all educated, they understand that. They understood it very clearly, therefore they took it for granted and they did not do a referent reality analysis of the concept of theory. So they just left it and straight away went to mind. That's all. But not in that rigid sense, Ganesh, as you said. Um, when you discuss with somebody, you will know that there is a certain principle, certain idea. Theory means an idea. What is an idea? The word idea means literal meaning in the dictionary itself is mental impression. Certain mental
Yeah.
impression is guiding. So today, you did not bring a present for me. So suddenly the mental impression is that being my birthday today, you don't love me.
Mm.
So without telling that, that's based on some kind of a quick idea, quick kind of we can say theory, because a theory guides. That's what a theory does in academic subjects, like theory of rocketry or theory of mechanical engineering, theory of design, theory of architecture. So they have to follow certain theories, but that is in scientific fields. Nevertheless, there are some kind of a theory in the science of common existence also, which enables people to arrive at observations and conclusions. Ganesh, that's all.
Yep.
Not necessarily a mechanical assertion guided by a certain theory. No. Perhaps there are a lot of hypocrites. I know what you asked. A lot of hypocritic people are there. Because I am this, I must be like this. Because I am born to this caste, I must be behaving like this. They are clearly aware and they are guided constantly by that feeling. I know. Living in Bihar, I know. Clearly. I am a Brahmin, therefore I should not allow this person. Constant, conscious guidance. It is not even automatic.